My fiancé used me to climb the social ladder, then dumped me for a banker like I was trash. They thought I disappeared in shame, but what I did next made her entire life collapse. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. I disappeared the night before her engagement party. Not our engagement, hers with the man she left me for. No goodbye, no closure, no warning, just a single text I scheduled to send at 7:03 p.m. Jessica, you'll want to cancel tonight. But I hope you don't, that was all. Then I turned my phone off and vanished. People assumed I was heartbroken. Some even said I'd lost it, that I was spiraling. They were half right, I had lost something. But it wasn't her. It was the last sliver of self-respect I'd been clinging to, the illusion that love was mutual. For 7 months. I let Jessica parade me around as her perfect fiancé, the stable, intelligent, quiet guy who made her look grounded. I was the LinkedIn trophy. While she climbed every rooftop in town yelling about our love, I just smiled and paid the bills, and she made sure I paid. The dinners, the designer shoes, the beach vacation with her clients that I now know included Ryan Mitchell, the banker. I didn't find out they'd slept together until after she left me. Correction, after she publicly ended our engagement to focus on herself. The truth, she jumped ship to someone with more money, better connections, and I let it happen. I said nothing, vanished, gave her the perfect story, he disappeared, she moved on. But what Jessica didn't know, what no one knew, was that I'd already begun collecting everything. Every lie, every receipt, every voicemail. I didn't want revenge, I wanted proof, because if someone's going to destroy your life to look good in a cocktail dress, they better be prepared when the truth walks back in, wearing silence like armor. You ever watch someone rehearse grief? That's what it looked like when Jessica gave her first interview after I ghosted her. It was some fluff podcast she'd always low-key mocked. Now suddenly it was her therapy platform. She looked flawless, her voice calm, slightly shaky, just enough to trigger sympathy. She was hurting. One comment said, "Can't believe he left her like that." They didn't know she'd slept with Ryan Mitchell 72 hours before our wedding. They didn't know she called me a safe backup in a voice note she forgot to delete. They didn't know she forged my signature on a joint account. That I knew, and worse, I recorded all of it quietly, legally, because I stopped trusting her months before she ever said goodbye. The irony, Jessica's entire career was built on controlling a narrative. Marketing exec, top-tier presentation coach, social media personal brand darling. She made 6 figures teaching people how to fake authenticity. So when I went silent, it killed her. No messy closure, no villain arc, no Michael screamed at me story, just silence. And in that silence her mask started to slip, because when your entire life is performance, silence is dangerous. People start asking, why isn't he saying anything? And that question, it spreads like wildfire. I didn't go far when I vanished, just back to where it started, my brother's garage in Pittsburgh. Alex and I hadn't talked much in years. Different lives, different cities. He was grease-stained hands and busted knuckles. I was aerospace, cubicles, calm. But when I showed up at 2 a.m. with 2 duffel bags and a hollow look, he didn't ask anything, just handed me a beer and fixed the lock on his garage door so I could sleep. The next morning he finally spoke. "So she burned you too?" How I didn't answer, just looked around the garage. Dust, silence, and a shelf full of things I'd left behind 10 years ago. That's where I found it. A small metal box. I had no memory of putting it there. That my name was on it, my handwriting inside, old tech junk, sticks, receipts, a battered voice recorder I used in college. It was dead, dusty, forgotten. But something in me, the engineer part, felt it buzz under my skin. I changed the batteries, it clicked alive with a soft beep. And the first file, a voice recording labeled Jessica May 17 password. I didn't remember recording it. But the date was 1 week before she launched that campaign for Crown Tech, the one that suddenly skyrocketed her to VUP. I sat down on the cold garage floor and hit play. And her voice filled the room, casual and confident. "No babe, I'm serious. If anyone finds out I pitched it under my name, Crown Tech's legal will eat me alive. So if they ask, just say you were never involved." Okay, I froze. I remembered that campaign. I built the algorithm she pitched. I just didn't know she sold it as her own. That wasn't just betrayal, that was corporate theft. And now I had her voice saying it. The recording ended. I sat there for a long time, staring at the old voice recorder like it might bite. That voice, that tone. I knew it too well. Jessica, when she thought no one was watching, she always said the real her was too intense for most people. Turns out she meant too illegal. I could have gone straight to Crown Tech, sent the file, burned her career in 30 seconds flat. But I didn't. Not yet, because I needed to know how deep it went. If that was the only thing she's stolen or just the first thing I'd caught. So I made one call. Kyle Brennan, old mutual friend, corporate event host, harmless type, but knew everyone. He used to joke about how Jessica was too smart for her own good. He picked up on the second ring. "Mike, holy S.D. man, where the hell have you been?" I didn't answer that, just asked if he could meet. We sat in a cheap diner off Route 15, plastic booths, coffee that tasted like regret. I brought my laptop, uploaded the voice file, and let him listen. He went pale halfway through. "Dude, do you know what this means?" "Yeah," I said. "That she lied. That she passed my work off as hers." Kyle didn't say anything for a full minute. Then he stood up too fast, knocking over his drink. "Okay, look. This never happened. You never showed me that." I blinked. "What?" He looked around, dropped cash on the table. Delete that file, Mike. She's deeper than you think. Then he left. I didn't see him again. I called Kyle the next day. No answer. Texted, left a voicemail. Tried Dak casual. Hey man, just checking in. You good? Nothing. I checked his Instagram, still active. He posted a brunch pic the same morning he ghosted me. Caption, Sundays are for healing. Healing from what? Being near the truth. By Tuesday, he'd unfollowed on me on everything. That's when I realized something. Jessica already knew I was back. Somehow, the moment Kyle heard that file, the walls started closing in. She was always 2 steps ahead. Not because she was smarter, but because she had more eyes. People like Jessica, that trusted her. All I had was a voice recorder and an old mattress in my brother's garage. Until that night, I was digging through the box again, mostly out of frustration, when I noticed something odd about the recorder. A tiny side switch labeled sync. I flipped it, the screen blinked blue. Bluetooth pairing request, Crown Room 3 ceiling. What the hell? I grabbed my phone, connected to it. Static buzzed in my ear, then a familiar click. Another recording auto-loaded unlabeled. It was her voice again, muffled, farther away. Can't risk him finding out. Just delete the backup, okay? I'll handle the rest. Another voice answered. Mail calmed, and if he comes back, she laughed. Michael, he'll disappear again. He always does. My spine went cold. That was in a recording she made for me. That was a remix hidden. Recording from above, and someone else was in on it. The second recording haunted me. It wasn't like the first, clean, direct, undeniable. This one was from above, like it had been recorded by a ceiling mic. I played it again, slower. Can't risk him finding out. Delete the backup. I'll handle the rest. A man's voice, and if he comes back, at Jessica's answer. So cold it didn't sound human. Michael, he'll disappear again. He always does. She wasn't just lying, she was preparing for war. I stayed up all night tracing that file. That label, Crown Room 3 ceiling, it had to be something internal. Crown Tech Huck had multiple levels, and Room 3 was where she ran most of her high-profile pitches. I knew, because I used to sit outside it, waiting for her to finish meetings. She never let me inside. Too boring, she'd say, kissing my cheek. I pulled up an old Crown Tech facility map I'd saved when helping her with her presentation deck. Room 3 was adjacent to the security admin console, and that's when something clicked. If she did delete a backup, maybe I could find what she missed. I logged into an old portal account. I still had access to one Jessica made me set up when I helped with internal databases for her prototype. It still worked. The layout was different, updated, but the core server tree hadn't changed much. I went digging into audio logs, backup redundancy, room sensors, and I found it, a partial folder, tagged with Room 3 Vosync archive. However, it wasn't supposed to be there. Maybe a system glitch, maybe dumb luck. I downloaded it, but the progress bar stopped halfway. Access denied. Administrator override. My screen blinked once, then everything crashed. I sat there staring at the laptop, black screen, dead. I tried rebooting. Nothing. I tried another device, my backup tablet. Logged in with the same credentials, blocked. Every file I'd saved under that archive was wiped, not deleted, erased. The kind of wipe you can undo without root access or internal admin keys. I checked my email. Locked out. I checked my cloud, password changed. I checked the voice recorder, files corrupted, all of them. Every last recording gone. I felt it in my stomach first, like someone had knocked the wind out of me. Then in my hands they started shaking. I had backups. I thought I had backups. Turns out, she had control of those too. And then came the text, from a private number, no name, just 5 words. Careful, Michael, you're not invisible. I dropped the phone, it buzzed again, same number, a photo of me sitting in Alex's garage. From outside the window, she knew where I was. Jessica had always been obsessed with image, with control. But I never imagined she'd take it this far. Everything I'd collected was gone. My only witness gone. My only ally ghosted. And now she was watching me. I was out of tools, out of proof, out of time. For the first time, I truly understood what she meant when she said, he always disappears, because now she was making sure I had no other option. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound outside the garage made me flinch. Every passing car felt like a threat. The photo of me through the window kept replaying in my mind. Jessica didn't just erase my files, she erased me. The next morning, I told Alex I had to leave. Didn't explain why. He didn't ask. Just handed me a paper bag with a sandwich and a single sentence, whatever this is, finish it. I walked 5 blocks to the public library. No security cams, no personal Wi-Fi trail. I sat down at the oldest computer they had, one that still made that grinding startup noise. I wasn't sure what I was even looking for. My accounts were locked. My devices scrubbed. And that's when it happened. I reached into my jacket pocket out of habit. Feeling for the voice recorder gone, but I felt something else instead. A tiny chip, loose ridged edges. It took me a second to remember this wasn't my jacket. It was Alex's, when I borrowed the first night I arrived. And that chip, I pulled it out and stared. Micro CD, no label, just dust and static cling. How the hell did this end up in his jacket? Unless I had already made a copy and forgotten. In the chaos, in the panic, I found an old card reader in the library drawer. Plugged it in, waited, and there it was. Vox recover back, the file loaded like a ghost resurrected. It wasn't the same room mic audio. This one was longer, different voice, hers again, but quieter, personal, almost like a voicemail. I hit play. If you're hearing this, it means I F-ket up. Or maybe you did. Or maybe we both did. My breath caught. I remembered that night vaguely, a fight, one of our worst. She sent this after slamming the door and disappearing for 24 hours. I hate how you see me. Like I'm a project. Like I need fixing. But the truth is, I do need you. I just don't know how to be the person you deserve when everyone expects me to be someone else. I froze. This wasn't just emotional, this was useful. She continued, so if I ever do something unforgivable, if I ever lie too well, or make you doubt yourself, just remember no one else knows the passwords. My heart skipped. Passwords, it's always the same. Mike, you, me, the lake 7213. I whispered it out loud. You, me, the lake 7213. A code, a pattern, a place. I knew exactly what she meant, back when things were still good. We went to a lake house for a weekend. No service, no tech, just us. She called it our real-life backup drive. She made me promise never to tell anyone where it was. I hadn't thought about that place in years, but if she's left something, anything offline, untraceable, it would be there. And now I had the key. It took me 5 hours to get there. A crooked road in upstate New York. No signs, no gifts, just memory. The lake house was still standing. Same green shutters, same chipped mailbox. For a second, I wondered if someone else had taken it. Or if Jessica still came here sometimes to pretend. But the front door key taped under the third floorboard on the porch was right where we left it. Inside, everything was frozen in time. The smell of pinwood, her old incense, that worn couch with one cushion missing stuffing. I checked every drawer, every book spine, every cabinet, nothing, until I remembered the painting. She made it on a whim one weekend, said it was ugly as hell, but hung it up anyway. A half-finished abstract mess, brown and black swirls on white. The frame was heavier than I remembered. I flipped it over there, screwed into the back, a metal plate barely visible, marked with 72-13X. My chest tightened. It matched the number in her voice note. I unscrewed it. Inside, a key, unlabeled, old, looked like it had survived a war. I plugged it into the cabin's ancient laptop. Took 2 minutes to load, and then, folders, hundreds of them, screenshots, voice files, transaction records, email dumps, every shady move Jessica had ever made, organized by name, date, and intent, blackmail, dazed threats, edited presentations, even invoices showing she had billed Crown Tech for work I'd done while logged into my name. This wasn't revenge. This was evidence, and it didn't come from a memory, a voice, or a feeling. It came from her own backup system, the one she never thought I'd remember. I sat there, heart pounding, reading line after line of digital confession. Jessica had created this archive as insurance. A break glass in case of crisis, folder in case her world ever imploded and she needed leverage. But now I had it, and there, inside a folder labeled VHH Legal, I found it. A screen recording, dated 2 days before our breakup. Jessica, sitting at her desk. Crown Tech logo in the corner. She was video recording herself editing a legal doc, voiceover transcription software running beside her. She muttered, "Ryan signs this. I'm free. No prenup, no audit, no fallback risk. I'll leak the Thompson algorithm if Crown gets loud. No one's gonna check metadata." I hit pause. The Thompson algorithm. She still used my name, even after everything. She didn't even bother to rename the file. I checked the video's metadata, created on Jessica's work laptop. Location, Crown Tech Vimp. Timestamp 3 hours before she made that podcast crying about how I'd abandoned her. There it was, her voice, her screen, her face, her intent, uncut, unedited. I copied everything to a new encrypted drive I'd brought. Triple backup, offline duplicate. And for good measure, I emailed the entire package to someone she'd never suspect, Sherry Levan. My old friend, now a corporate attorney. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A single message, "Got it, stay offline, you just went nuclear." I stayed offline for 48 hours. Just like Sherry told me, it was the hardest thing I'd done. Not because I was scared, because I was ready. I wanted to watch it all burn. But Sherry was right. Timing mattered. This wasn't about drama. It was about procedure. Then it started. First, Crown Tech released a vague internal memo. "We are currently investigating a series of internal documentation discrepancies. At this time, Jessica Chambers is on temporary leave pending review." No mention of me. No fire. Not yet. But then came the next blow, delivered clean, fast, and public. Rebecca Goldstein, Jessica's high-profile attorney, resigned publicly on LinkedIn. After discovering critical misrepresentations, I've formally ended representation of Jessica Chambers. I do not stand by or defend intentional breaches of legal integrity. One line, 30,000 views in 6 hours. Then Reddit caught wind. A former intern posted, "Yup. She stole the Crown Tech pitch. Everyone knew. We just weren't allowed to say it out loud." Hashtag Crown collapse. By lunchtime, Jessica's name was trending for all the wrong reasons. A news brief called her a corporate con artist in heels. I didn't feel joy. I felt settled. Because for the first time, I wasn't the crazy ex, I wasn't the ghost, I was the one with the truth, and the world was finally listening. By 3 p.m., my phone had 17 missed calls, all from her. No voicemail, no text, just the kind of silent panic only someone who's losing control can send. I didn't answer, not out of cruelty, out of principle. For months, she'd built a fortress of lies around her, pre-deals, fake vulnerability, tailored pain. Now, without warning, the walls were crumbling, and the public was watching. She was never built to survive not being adored. Later that night, Sherry called me. You just tipped the scale. But be careful, this kind of person doesn't go down quiet. I asked what to expect. She said flatly she'll try to turn it emotional. Make herself the victim. Or worse, come crawling back right on cue. My email pinged. From Jessica Chambers. Subject: I'm sorry. Can we talk? I didn't open it. Instead, I forwarded it to Sherry. She replied 2 minutes later. Do not a reply. I'm filing for legal restraint on any further contact. Then she added, also you may want to speak to her father. That stopped me cold. Why? Because he just left me a message. Said he has something to say. Something he shouldn't have told you years ago. I met Mr. Chambers at a coffee shop in Midtown. Neutral ground, bright lights, no cameras. He was already sitting when I arrived. Same tan coat, same polished shoes, same perfect haircut Jessica always said she hated. He stood, shook my hand like nothing had happened. Then he said it. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to respond. He gestured for me to sit, then leaned forward, elbows on the table. Michael, I knew about the algorithm. My blood went cold. She showed me the prototype 6 months before the Crown Tech launch. She told me she'd borrowed it from someone. I didn't know it was you. Not until the memo leaked. I stared at him, waiting for the defense. The rationalization, the "but she was under pressure" excuse, it never came. He looked down. I warned her. I told her this kind of thing catches up. But Jessica, she was always trying to outrun something. I thought maybe if I didn't confront her too hard, she'd stop. Instead, he added, voice cracking, she got better at hiding. We sat in silence. Then he said something I didn't expect. I read the full deposition. You could destroy her completely, Michael. You have every right to. He looked me dead in the eye. But if you choose not to, she'll still fall. She already has. And maybe, just maybe, what she sees in that fall will teach her something. I couldn't. I left without saying much. But I walked out lighter. Not because I forgave her, but because the last lie that her family didn't know was finally gone. 3 weeks later, I sat in a small courtroom with Sherry beside me. Crown Tech had settled. Jessica's employment was officially terminated. Her reputation, publicly cauterized. I didn't press charges, not because she didn't deserve it, but because I didn't need to be in her story anymore. Let her write her next chapter in silence. I was done being the background character in someone else's performance. After everything, I moved back to Pittsburgh. I took a contract job teaching applied systems theory at a local college. It's quiet, honest work. I visit Alex more now. We fix cars on weekends. He doesn't say much, but he always leaves the garage door open, and the voice recorder, still broken, still dusty. I keep it in my top drawer, not because I need it, but because it reminds me silence isn't weakness. Sometimes it's where truth is born. Jessica tried to rewrite our past with lies, but in the end, her own voice was the thing that destroyed her. Me, I didn't destroy her. I just let her speak, and this time, I made sure the whole world listened. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.